Go. We are live. And we are up and running at CCR. Welcome, everybody, to Carolina Classic Racing. Third time that we have broadcast this league. We did it a couple months ago for the season finale of their Cup Series. And then we did a Aero 88 Series race a little while back as well. And now we are back for yet another Cup Series season finale here. I falsely advertised it as Aero 88. That was my fault. It is Cup, the original Cup mod. It is Homestead-Miami, the game track Homestead-Miami. So this is going to be a bit of a different beast here. So it is the flat original version. Well, not original. That would be basically a square. But you fancy that. Homestead-Miami was once a square. Or Indy shaped, pretty much. But hey, we're on the flat version. It's the game version of Homestead. We've got realistic weather. We've got open setup. We've got realistic damage. Pretty much everything that can throw a wrench into things here is probably going to play a factor in this race this evening. It is a short race, though. These guys at CCR do, of course, run a little bit early and a little bit shorter races. 67 laps on tap for this evening here in Florida. Qualifying currently underway. And, yeah, these guys were just practicing in clear conditions. It just went to cloudy, which in-game basically increases your horsepower by, like, probably 50 horsepower. It's absolutely nuts. The way that it drives the track is completely different. So if the race is the same way, that is going to make things especially interesting and especially slippery, dare I say. Although then again, this track just tends to be slippery regardless, especially with these Cup physics. And open setup does not help things either. So I'll get on and off track there real quick so that I don't hold up qualifying. And there we go. Qualifying is complete. And go down the running order here very briefly. Looking like we're going to have a 15-car race here tonight, which is pretty cool. And a pretty good field for this league here. Pretty standard field size. These guys do run every night of the week, and usually you got the same suspects. Tonight's even maybe a little bit on the lighter side with 4th of July tomorrow. Which, happy 4th to everybody in advance. But anyways, to the running order. On pole is our own Wiley King in the 95. We've seen him have success at Hobo. Well, we're going to be seeing him in action tonight. CCR Bandit, driving the 00, is going to be starting on outside pole. Steve Grant, who one of the guys over at Team Speedland that helped put this thing together, will be starting in 3rd. And Steve Grant also, pretty much by taking the green flag here tonight, probably going to secure himself this season's championship. So big congrats to Steve on that one. CCR Chris Owen, going to be starting in 4th in the number 24. 97, Biscuit, starting 5th. And then you got Tex, Greg Stenzo, Jason Dolfer. Top 8 guys took lap times there. CCR Knight, also in the 37. Donald Ritchie, Ken Hansen, CCR Rick Castle, as we know him. Jen Francesconi, Jeff Tower Havoc, and CCR Bob Bisconner. That is the full field for tonight's event. Like I said, 67 laps with a very interesting pit window with how much off-throttle time these guys are going to have. You could stretch it as far as 33 laps, which if you really are feeling bold and the tires work out in your favor, which that would be really big here would be the tire wear. But if all that falls in your favor, maybe go bold. Maybe try the one-stopper. I think a lot of things are going to fall in favor for these drivers in order to be able to make that work, including it going green the whole way. At a flat track like this with unpredictable weather, open setup, I think that that's going to be a very difficult task to keep all these guys pointing in the right direction. That's not a knock against these guys at all. That is more so just a just evidence of how challenging this type of track really is. Anything that you go to as far as a flat track like this with high speeds, you can look at the original version of Las Vegas in the game for reference, and then of course the original Homestead, what we're running tonight. I would argue even New Hampshire, with just how much you have to slow down and just let the car labor through the corner before you get back on the throttle. It's tough. It is really tough. It is a completely different beast. It is not a beast that is conducive to my driving style. I can tell you that. I am awful at these flat tracks. I need all the help that I can get, and that's why I prefer the updated Homestead myself for whenever I'm driving. But I'm not driving tonight. These guys are going to be putting on the show, and I think they're going to be putting on an excellent show, just like they've done before. We saw these guys race at Chicagoland a while back. First, we saw an amazing race at Charlotte with their Air 88s. Of course, that was CTS physics, but still, that was something to behold. And what will also be something to behold here will be pit stops, as these guys will have to pit, get onto the access road, entering turn 3, and then going around all the way to turn 2 on the access road before they can merge. So, a little bit of a challenge there, as if it wasn't flat enough already. Well, now you got absolutely zero banking whatsoever, so you really gotta be patient through those very flat corners there. Let's get some pictures here for everybody, and show everyone what we got. There's Wiley King, our pole sitter. Number 95 Speedland Pontiac, used part of Team Speedland. See those guys an awful lot over at the wonderful world of Hobo, which we bring every Tuesday night. See what he's able to do in that number 95. There's Jason Dolfer in 63, just behind Ken Hansen. Tasmanian Devil on that blacked out number 63. There's Ken, 94. Awesome looking scheme there. Greg Stenzo, another familiar face over at Hobo. Donald Ritchie in the 43. Really can't go wrong with the Valvoline scheme. Like, that is literally impossible. I don't know why I'm dropping frames as much as I am. That is very concerning. Yeah, just get some stuff pulled up there, so maybe that helps. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm jumping around an awful lot. We'll keep looking through the field here. Jack Daniels, number 42 there for CCR Rick. Yeah, another guy that we see over at Hobo an awful lot. Rick Castle, as we know him, over there. Let's see what kind of noise he's able to make tonight. There's Bandit. CCR regulars. Regular scheme to see him in there in that 00. And Francesconi in the 16. There's our guy Steve. A bit of a pancaked right side there, but should be seeing that throughout the night. CCR Chris in the 24. There's Bob Bisconner there. The Childress Racing Colors there for the 38. Biscuit in the Kurt Busch car. Just about to get this party started. There's Knight in the 37. Expect him to be making some noise here tonight, even though he'll be starting around midfield. I expect that 37 to be pretty quick tonight. Time will tell here how things are going to go. Like I said, at a flat track like this, you really just never know what you're going to get. I'm going to check some settings here very quickly just because of all those frame drops there. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to change very much here at the moment. Yeah, no. But yeah, nothing's changed anyway, so hopefully it'll resolve itself. Just about to get this party started here from Homestead-Miami for the season conclusion for the current season of the Thursday Night Cup Series, and oh, it's cloudy. Oh boy.
Drivers, to your cars.
Total shift in how these cars are going to be driving compared to what these guys got during practice. That is going to be big. Very big. As the field lines up on the front stretch. On pit lane. Pit lane on the front stretch. Riley King on pole there. Bandit to his outside. Ballpark of about 15 guys that should be getting this party started.
Drivers, start your engines!
It looks like that is indeed the case. Nice little healthy field here. This field is right here for the pace lap again. 67 laps on tap for this evening. You can see that count in the bottom left of your screen. Thank you to CCR for trusting me to come on board here, and particularly the guys at Team Speedland who have really been helping out and supporting a lot of these broadcasts. Gotta send our shout-outs to them. Steve Grant's been the guy to get in touch with me a lot of the time to pull off this stuff with CCR. I know a lot of different guys have been helping out at Hobo, so Speedland has been a part of that. So thank you to those guys, and of course Mac Daddy Keith McLean over at Hobo for getting that ball rolling. And I would be remiss if I missed Fast and Zach Rogers, my right-hand man, for making that happen. We'll be bringing you guys coverage from Chicago Street Course for Fast on Sunday night. Pace car is down pit road, and for the final time in this current season of the Thursday Night Cup Series, we're going to get this party started. Green flag in the air, Wiley King and Bandit gets these guys started, and we're underway in Homestead-Miami, Florida. Everyone feeling it out here. A big speed difference in these corners. Get it all the way down to about 125. As Bandit will lead the first lap after starting on the outside pole. They're going from about 175 down to, honestly, about 120. That's on fresh tires. Those lap times are just going to continue to fall as the race goes on. And that tire wear continues to kick in. Just kind of checking on through the field at the moment. One already getting a little bit spread out because I'm sure, again, a lot of these guys got used to how these things are going to drive in the clear weather during practice. Qualifying was cloudy. Happy hour was clear. And now cloudy conditions once again for the race. And I have not run too much realistic weather series before, but the few that I have, my goodness, does that completely change things. The way that the track drives, the way that the car behaves. Again, it feels like you gain about 50 horsepower, but you gain like very little to no grip. If anything, the fact that you're making more power is going to make it feel more slippery. No, an already slippery track like this with the flat banking. It's just going to amplify it further and further. Finally, King looking to maybe get the move here on the 00. We'll get to his quarter panel. Wiley's backing up these corner entries a little bit more, and it's allowed him to power off very nicely. As Steve Grant and Chris Owen have closed in a little bit on these two. Oh, that's getting close there between the 00 and the 95. 95 had to bail out of that. That's going to give the opening to the 11. Couple of pretty much teammates there. A great move there. Onto the 11, and he's going to maybe try to the outside after a phenomenal run out of that corner. Steve seems like he's making that outside work very nicely, which is very unusual in these game tracks. And he is going to get the power down very well and take the race lead. Season champ looking to capitalize on it. We saw Ryan Johnson do the same thing when we broadcasted Chicagoland a couple seasons ago. And he won the final race after clinching the title. And Steve is looking to do the same thing. Chris now up into the second position after getting by both the 00 and the 95. That 00 is looking like it is starting to struggle. And we're only about 6-7 laps in. Oh, he's getting loose. He's going to hit the wall. Biscuit gives him some grace. Good thing he did. Or else that could have been a bit marginal. Rick actually got up there. He had quite the run going and is looking to take that position. That would be for the 5th position. He actually got by Tex as well on that lap. A lot of midfield Dyson. And if you guys are going to power around that 00, yeah, Bandit, not sure if that's the long run car. Again, that's just the nature of the different ways that these things handle. Oh, goodness, yeah, he's really struggling. Got on the apron there, that didn't help. That is not a happy race car. And probably not a happy driver either. Battling up front, though. Chris looked like he had a bit of a run. Why the King's still hanging right with these guys. Top 3 kind of in their own zip code. Steve Grant continuing to rip the higher lane. Ideally, you want to keep it about in that blacker area where the quote-unquote rubber is put in. Go up much higher than that, and then you start getting into the paint grip, and that is not where you want to be. The King looks like he's migrating up there himself. The number 95, someone spun it off of 4. May have been Ken Hansen. I see some other skid marks there in 1 and 2. Yeah, that had to have been Ken. That's why the King just got by the 24. Had to get one more thing pulled back up there, and Wiley with a nice entry there. I think Steve's going to power around the outside to hold on to that race lead. Great race up here at the front, but already these lap times are falling, and we are only 11 laps in. And these guys have lost about a second already. And the King another good corner, but then kind of fell back there on exit. Nearly fell into the clutch of the 24. Once again gets down there, but ooh, has to check up a little bit. Man, the momentum shifts are absolutely incredible. It's how you see guys fall back on entry and then Really powered through the middle. Then you got guys like Steve Grant who's ripping the outside and is able to just slam on that throttle. And you see him just pull away. That line is working very, very well for him. And then you'll see why the King closed right in here, having that shorter way around. And there goes Steve. Seesaw up here, and the 24 is just looking on like, hey, if you guys could just do that again, but maybe just get even closer, that'd be nice. Although Rick Castle, CCR Rick, up in 4th place here, and is actually closing in on these guys by a fair amount. He has not lost a lot of lap time. He's doing a great job of fending off the tire wear. He is conserving those things very nicely. We have a 4-horse race here very shortly. Got to go back a little bit further to Tex. There's Bob Connor there in P6. Jason Dolfer, Biscuit, Knight, and a little further back, it's Tower. That is the top 10 at the moment. Bandit has brought it down pit lane, probably thinking, enough of this. This thing is behaving like garbage. 38 around the 85. That is for the 5th position. See if he might be able to close in on these guys up here. Still Team Speedland 1-2 at the moment. 15 laps in, Ken Henson continues to have issues. Brought down pit road a number of times and already 3 laps down. 2 guys that opted out of the race pretty early on here were Dan Francesconi and Donald Ritchie. I don't know what happened to those two. We may have to have a look then. They were both out of the race. About a little less than halfway through this fuel run here, and so far we have been green the whole way. Once again, Wiley King to the inside, but a 7 or 8 mile an hour difference there in that outside on exit. For the 11, and now the 24. We're going to try to get a move here for 2nd. He's got that position well in hand. Moves CCR Chris up into the runner-up position as they run at the moment. And again, with this going green, that's where you start to think, who's going to try? Who's going to try the one-stopper? And will they be able to go far enough to try to pull that off? 17 laps in, you've probably got to go another 16 at least to be able to safely pull that off. Again, Steve Grant still dominating this thing, but not pulling away by any stretch of the imagination. Lap times among these top 3 have been right on top of each other, with Rick being a little bit quicker and has been closing. Closing rate has decreased a little bit. He's still right there in touch. Bob Connor right now in P5. And actually also laying down a good lap time that last lap. A couple tenths quicker than these top 4. Definitely seems like everyone at this point in time has found their rhythm. They know about what their car's got. They know what line works for them, their lift point, when to get back on the throttle, how to roll the corner. Everyone's going to do it in very, very different ways. I think the most unique of those ways being Steve Grant, ripping that outside and doing it phenomenally. Although Chris just followed suit there and actually closed in just a little bit. Now goes back low again. Oh, it nearly loses it. Very nice save. That's going to cost him at least time to the 11, possibly a position. If Wiley King gets past him here, looks like he will. Ken Hansen's in this mix as well. He's on new tires. Having pit a couple times there. Bandits, I do believe, yeah, he'll be keeping in touch with these guys a little bit better now that he's also on fresh rubber. Of course, both those guys were having some trouble. Bandit being 2 laps down, Ken Hansen 4 down in relation to the leader. The battle is now on here for 4th. Bumpus Connor has closed the gap. He's got a good long run car. Oh! Chris just about another moment. Andelin starting to go on that 24. Still keeping it straight though. Now side by side trying to hang on to the 4th position after just losing 3rd to the 42. And now those 2 Speedland cars are gone. With Steve Grant well ahead of Wiley King. 24 holds on to the position for now. 38 attempted the crossover. It did not pan out. It was either hit him or back out. And good on him for backing out. As engine failure on Tex. Running 6th. Engine is gone. Oh, dude. That 085's night is going to be cut short. All because the game said so. That's not the way to end it right there. That is not the way to end your season. Still got power, but yeah, that thing's done for. We'll see if the yellow comes out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it does, but not always, especially if you can get it limped back, which it looks like it will be the case for Tex. Another one of the higher up admins here at Carolina Classic Racing. His night will unfortunately be cut short. And no fault of his own. Steve Grant out in front of Wiley King. Wiley slipping back a little bit there. Right now the gap, 1.1 seconds. Ken Hansen still using those fresh tires to his advantage. He's going to get a lap back there. Steve way up the track. That was maybe a little higher than he wanted to. So he'll lose a little bit of time there, but may have also been courtesy move there for Ken Hansen. Be like, hey, I'm going to run my race. You keep doing your thing. Rick and Biz Connor are still relatively on top of each other here and looking to possibly close in. Their lap time's pretty similar so far to the top 2. 24, Chris is right now 5th. The car that's starting to lose the handling, it looks like just a little bit. Jason Dolfer is 6th. Biscuit, Knight. And Greg Stenzo and Jeff Havoc. Tower. Right now, the top 10. And it's official for the 085. He is out of the race with a camshaft failure. But we remain green. And Wiley King closing back in. Finding some lap time now in that 95. And has gotten that 1.1 second gap down to, boy, that's just going to be a few car lengths. And again, there's that power off for Grant. Gripping that higher lane. Yeah, Wiley seems to have the momentum in the middle of the corner. He lets off a bit early. He rolls it a bit more aggressively in the middle. Then he has to wait a little bit longer before he gets back on the throttle. Steve Grant is backing up his middle of the corner and then getting it all back on exit. And his entry seems to be fairly neutral, not too deep, not too shallow. And it's working for him beautifully. Although Wiley is back on him, and oh, that's a little high there for the 11. He's going to power down again and stay clear, but man, he's had his hands full here as he's had cars on his left side throughout a good majority of this race. Up is Connor. He's gotten by the 42, meanwhile, for the third position. He can also look pretty sporty on those lap times still, and so is Chris is starting to find some lap time once again. All these guys, though, run about a second and a half at least slower than they were. We are on lap 30. Now you're starting to think, okay, do I have enough fuel to stretch this so that I can make that one stop work? Credit to these guys. They have been able to keep it clean and green. A couple of near misses. Some guys have had some issues. But all in all, though, no cautions. Everyone's keeping it pretty clean. One engine failure, which they can't control that. And now, with lap 31, these guys probably only got to go about another 2 laps, and then they should be able to make it. Ooh, if Chris doesn't have another spin there, we just saw him just about get into the 42, and he got out of the gas. Someone had a moment off of turn 2, and here we go. We got guys coming in, including the 38, 42, and the 24. The top 2, those 2 speed lane guys, 11 and 95, are staying out. Unfortunately, this is probably going to put these 3 in a position that they are not going to be able to make it to the end. So they're probably going to be hoping for a yellow flag at some point or another. Greg Senzo is also on pit lane. Top 2 stay out again. That puts Biscuit up into 3rd, but he'll bring it in this time by CCR Knights. Got promoted to 4th, now 3rd, and is also keeping it on the racetrack. Jason Dolfer doing the same thing. Bandits, albeit a couple laps down. Well, yeah, he'll have to pit again regardless. Tight race off there for these guys. 42! Got a bit too much. Slid it through the grass, but kept it straight. We'll lose a lot of time, though, unfortunately, and that brought out the yellow. That brought out the yellow flag. That is amazing. I'm honestly amazed that it did. I guess he was going slow enough. But oh boy. Now that's going to be great for Steve and Wiley. Well, if they make it back around, that is. Now, yeah, they've got to be on fumes. They've got to absolutely be on fumes. Let me take a look at the standings here real quick. Now, those 2 are on the lead lap. 37's on the lead lap. 63, 97, and 101 are the guys listed on the lead lap right now. Everybody else, especially those 3, 24, 38, and 42, will have to wave around if they want their lap back. And save fuel like the Dickens. They're going to make it. But this does help them, though. We're now under caution. They can save, clutch as much as they need to. They might, just might, be able to pull it off. We're going to keep an eye on these pit stops here, and then we'll try to get a couple replays of not only what brought out the caution there, but we'll see if we can get a replay of Texas engine failure and maybe whatever happened to those first 2 retirees of the race, the 43 and the 16. Top 4 are in. I have to imagine that everyone else is going to be looking to wave around. Then that will get them back on the lead lap and in contention. Only downside being that you're not going to be able to top off with fuel. You're going to have to save quite a bit of fuel in order to make it. Again, under these pace laps, I think it could be doable. I do believe Wiley King just won the race off. That was very close. I do believe with that number 1 pit stall, he got to the line first. If he didn't speed, that is. Definitely kind of taking his time coming out here. And yeah, Steve Grant pulling down, so I do believe that is him giving the spot to the 95. These guys are also clutching. 42 looks like he's saying, nope, I am not going to do that, although that might also just be from causing the caution. And speaking of which, even though it wasn't much, it was just enough to bring it out. Just getting a little overzealous on that access road, which is very easy to do, especially when you're on the outside of it. Too wide situation. He's trying to get on the power, trying to get ahead of the 24, and just lost it there. Slid up in front of the 00, and that's what the game said was a dangerous scenario, and caution out. So we can get a look at the 43 and what happened to him. It may have just been a voluntary retirement. Yeah, it looks like he's just struggling. And I think the 16 did the same thing. Yeah, they just brought it down pit road on their own accord, and that was that. And that was about lap 8, coming to lap 9 when that occurred. Voluntary retirement, it looks like. And Hansen also spun on that same lap. Got a quick look at that here. This was lap 8. Slid down far enough, though, that caution did not come out. Then, of course, the 085. And quite unfortunate for his engine to spontaneously combust, the camshaft shredding itself to pieces just after taking lap 23. Good job, though, maintaining control of that thing and keeping it low enough to not hinder anybody that much. Impressive. Okay. Lights are out on the pace car. And we've got Wiley King as your race leader, ahead of Steve Grant. Jason Dolfer is now 3rd. CCR Knight. And then Biscuit in 5th. Tower. Ken Hansen there, a couple laps down as Bandit. I think actually you're going back to CCR Chris up here on the tail end of the lead lap and is not able to go around the pace car here. That 24 is on the tail end of the lead lap. 38.42 lap down. 38 ended up opting to pit for fuel. And it will be 31 laps to go here on this restart. With the field being led by Chris, but Wiley King truly in the race lead. And after the first caution, green flag waves in the air once again. And the 11 is already giving him a run for his money. That outside lane, golly, can he rip it. And right back to where he left off. To the lead. 24 hoping for a rapid fire caution here. Otherwise, he's about to get passed around the outside. Speed difference is immense. Well, 11 got out of the throttle there. Whether by design or if he had to check up, he was getting tight, not sure. And it's then corrected. It was actually right on 30 to go when we went green there. Now 29 to go. Everybody should be good on fuel. Should. So maybe a couple question marks lingering, but... Ooh, a little close there. Oh, very close. Dolfer just slight bounce off the wall there. Ken Hansen not quite ready for it, and that was just about a moment. Dolfer gonna fall back behind the 94 and the 38. 38 a lap down, 94 multiple laps down. His nearest competitor is Tower, back in 5th place. He's gonna be about maybe a second behind him, maybe a little less. At 42 though, he's bad quick in that Jack Daniels machine. I'm sure that he'll be slicing and dicing his way forward. Probably gonna try to catch the 24, who now goes back a lap down to the 11, and will now be in a fight for the free pass position if that 42 does indeed catch him. This is the farthest up in the field that 37's been all night. CCR Knight, he was bad fast when we broadcasted Chicagoland a while back. Now finds himself in a much better position, so we'll see if that Valvoline machine might have anything for those two Speedland guys. 42 looking to try to make a move on the laps down 00. 002 laps down, Ken Hansen 3 down. Oh, that was a little sketchy, banded. Running about a half a groove off the wall, which is a bit unusual. Ken Hansen around the 38. Not for position. Very topsy-turvy here with this running order. Considering who's a lap down, who's not a lap down. As it runs, you've only got 6 guys on the lead lap here. The 11 back to the 97. Top 6. All on the lead lap, everyone else kind of interspersed in there. At 24, I don't think that he's going to be giving these positions up very easily. Knowing that he's got the 42 clawing his way toward him. That is for position, and for the free pass, that 42 is actually going to try to get past the 37. And it looks like we'll do so. 38 by Bandit there. And Hansen will try to follow suit, and will do so. So moves being made all over the place, but few of these for position so far. Leaders on lap 44 here. Ryan the King continuing to maybe look for the crossover here on that 24. Man, that 42 is coming fast. Very fast. 2/10 quicker than the 24 that lap. 11 continuing to run in slightly higher lane. And now this is going to get very dicey. As the 95 trying not to lose too much ground to his teammate. But at the same time, you got a hard battle here for that free pass. Should we get that yellow flag? .42 was clear, but that would have been a heck of a slider if he went for that one. He did not. I think Ryan the King may have cut him some slack. Here's the thing, though. Wiley is now under fire. That is for position. That number 37 is right with him. Wiley just got the apron a little bit. Got a little squirrely. Managed to hold on to that thing. Man, mad props to all these guys in a very, very slippery racetrack. And even more treacherous conditions. They're finding their way to rip this place. And it is very impressive to watch. Steve Grant still got a mirror full of lap cars, but that is the benefit, though. You've got 2 lap cars between you and your nearest competitor for the race win. And especially if these two start to race it out. That 42 is looking a bit quicker than that 24. In fact, the 42 was just a tenth of a lap, or tenth of a second, off of his best lap that last time around. And the King, a little bit of a run there on the 42, does not take advantage quite yet. Still got a mirror full of Knight. Office Connor's still lurking there as well, and he may try to nip these two and try to get himself involved in that battle for the free pass. There's 20 laps to go. Steve Grant still looking mighty strong and in a great position of 2 lap cars between himself and Wiley King in second place. Gap right now between those two, 7/10 of a second. And remaining relatively stable. Now, of course, 24 and the 42, you know that there is that chance. They may try to go and pass that 11 and just get their lap back the hard way, and then that way they don't have to worry about it. If the yellow does come out. If the opportunity presents itself, they will jump right on that. They've got to catch him first. And that 24, as we know, at least based on that first run, they probably made some adjustments. But that handling starts to go on that thing in the long run as the 42 breezes by him on the inside. Unless you got too much out of it there. See you in the chat, Mr. Matt Stern. How's it hanging? Got some awesome racing here at CCR, Carolina Classic Racing. Steve Grant out in front in the season finale race here at Homestead-Miami. His nearest competitor, Wiley King, in second. The 2 lap cars between them. CCR Knight in the 37. Currently third. Fourth place, a good ways back, that is Jason Dolfer. Still a very good run for that 63 so far. Same goes for Jeff Havoc. Tower there in that 101, although he's got a mirror full of biscuit here. I don't think that that's a... I don't think that biscuit would taste very good if it gets around him. That was awful. It had to be done. Anytime I make an awful joke like that, I always just use the excuse of it had to be done. Oh boy. That 24, yeah, there's that loose condition starting to kick back in for him. We saw this around halfway through that first run. The King's probably getting a little bit nervous going, hey, don't be doing that in front of me. Besides, I'm trying to catch the guy, and that's Steve Grant, but he is checking out. That gap up to 1.1. They did close the gap earlier. But that was when he was running by himself, not behind traffic. There is a lot of traffic up here. Bear in mind, he's still racing this 37, who just went a tenth quicker that lap. But we are on lap 53 of 67. We are clicking this race off in a hurry. Only one single caution, which could have barely been a caution after the 42. Just about spun it onto the racetrack after coming off pit road, but actually kept it straight. 24 trying to make the move there on the 42. Not going to be able to pull that off, and that is actually going to cost him. 95 going to clear. 37 probably will as well. And will indeed do so. That was the courtesy move there. That is a tough break for both the 42 and the 24. And the 38 for that matter. Those guys were looking very sporty, especially the 42 and 38. And then that caution, even though it was caused by the 42, still though, that caution caught them a lap down, and they just got absolutely screwed. And they opted to take the fuel and know that they could make it to the end. Some side damage on the 95. Don't know if that might start to affect the handling. Time will tell there. 37 still breathing down his neck. They've got to catch this 11, who is now up to a second and a half. It's championship season. And looking to end it on a high note. Like we mentioned, Ryan Johnson did the same thing at Chicagoland when we broadcasted that season finale. Steve Grant looking to do the same thing. He's got 12 laps to do it. But these are 12 pretty long laps. When you get right down to it, 37 seconds per lap. How flat this place is. Every corner just feels like you're just slogging through there. 38 around the 24. It is for position. Biscuit has gotten into the top 5. Was able to get by Tower. And Kurt Busch colors up into the top 5. $11 laps to go. Again, fuel for everyone should be good. Should. I keep saying the word should. There's some lag there out of the 95. Pompous Connor has closed in on these two. Again, that is not for position. 10 laps to go. Here at Homestead, 24 trying to make a move again there. That is for 8th. 15 drivers start this thing. Trying to get into the top half there. Essentially top half. PCR Knight trying to be patient here and save his stuff. Ooh, slides up a little bit there though. That was a little bit of a harder corner. Ooh, but a great run. He's going to be able to pull it off here. It looks like he had to get out of it there pretty hard. Yeah, he's looking to try to get this second position. Steve Grant, though, still in his own zip code out there in front. And hoping that we do not see a yellow flag. Everybody else is probably hoping for one at this point, as here we go for second. Looks like he should get that position. Wiley will have a run, though. Just barely stick to his quarter panel. But will relinquish the spot on entry. CCR Knight, after starting midfield at best, now up into second place. If we're going to try that move again for 8th, not going to be able to pull it off. .42 in the tire tracks of that 11, also not for position. Steve Grant, it is 7 laps to victory lane here. If he can hold on and this caution does not come out. Did give up a couple tenths there. He's got 1.8 seconds, so he can afford to be pretty conservative here. Finally, King, I think maybe that tight condition's starting to set in with that damage. Again, that 24 trying and looking and scaring that 38. Trying to get him to overdrive the corner. That's kind of the way to do it. How about this for Steve Grant? A dominating performance here thus far tonight. And, oh no! Caution, oh, it's Wiley! Tore up rear end on the 95, running third. One of the top guys tonight. Oh my goodness, this changes everything. And just lost it. Turn 4. Stepping out, catches it into the wall. Nowhere that Chris could go. And around she goes. As one Speedland car dominates, the other one ends up in the wall in the final handful of laps. And now, what do? What do you do? Tires, track position. Oh boy, both are at such a premium. Right there for the pace car. Steve is staying out. And as will Knight. And the King bringing it in. No surprise. Jason Dolfer now upgraded to the 3rd position. That'll put Biscuit 4th, and I believe Tower will be 5th. He's going to opt to pit, though. The track position going to end up being the name of the game here. Jason Dolfer, though, is that a legal pit? And it would appear as though pit road was maybe closed there. Either that or Wiley was trying to let everybody by, but Jason Dolfer actually going to opt to bring it in. Albeit, I don't think that was a legal manner of doing so. I don't know if that may be a penalty. We got 4 laps to go. We do have lap traffic. This may be a green-white checkered. Maybe even 1 lap. He ran on the clutch. He's playing it safe. We'll come around to 3 laps to go. 22 brings it down. As will the other lap cars. ECR at night was charging on him there. I was just starting to think about that. If that caution didn't come out, that could have gotten dicey between those two for the win. That could have started to get pretty close. Because the lap before that caution, 37 gained a whole half-second plus on the 11. Now, whether that was Steve just starting to lose the handle in, him just driving conservative, or maybe trying to save fuel. Maybe it wasn't as sure as we thought. I mean, I knew it was kind of in the iffy zone, but I thought they ran enough laps under that caution that they would have been just fine. Under this caution, he should be pretty much fine now. It's just going to be a matter of if he's got the tires for 1 lap to hold off the 37. And that is assuming that the lights go out this time. If they don't, Steve Grant just has to coast across the finish line and win this. And it will be in the bag. If the lights do go out, I think that he's still in the catbird seat here. With how he's been able to rip that top side and get that momentum. It's going to be a big advantage on Knight, who's going to have to go offensive. And with the runs that the 11 has been getting, that is going to be the ultimate in defense. That'll be the great way to do it. Biscuit is 3rd ahead of Jeff Havoc. 5th place. Still kind of being sorted out here. There's Jason Dolfer, who does appear to be going EOL. Moment of truth here if the lights go out. Oh. 1 lap, baby. Only 2 cautions all night, and one of them is going to result in a 1-lap shootout. Steve Grant just got to be mistake-free. But man, do you got a hard charger in Knight there. 11:37.97. The top three. How is this going to emerge? At the checkered flag. And a fun little night of racing here at CCR. Thank you to anyone who has come by and tuned in. Gotta make sure to tune back in on Sunday night for fast coverage from the Chicago Street Course. And then Chicagoland, I do believe, for Hobo. On Tuesday night, the lights came back on. Why? I don't know. But that will do it. Oh, man. The race is over. Whatever it was. Game didn't like something. Debris. Someone out of line. No idea. But no green flag. And you know who just breathed a huge sigh of relief there? Is that 11. The season may end on a whimper here. After it looked like we were going to get a one-lap shootout, and then the game said, psych! But you know what? The champion himself, Steve Grant, who went on a tear in the midseason, went in 3 in a row. This is a fun fact for you. And dominated this race. No one's going to earn this win more than that 11. So the most deserving driver is absolutely going to get this race victory. Hard charger, though, is definitely going to be CCR Knight, though. Up from the midfield to second place and with a shot at the win. Even if that did stay green, even if that caution didn't happen, he would have had a chance with how he was charging there. He absolutely would have had a chance. Alas, it will not be. And while it's maybe not in the most climactic of circumstances, a dominating performance is going to be rewarded. Steve Grant, the champion of the season for the Thursday Cup Series, and it ends on the highest of highs with the win in the final race of the season in Homestead-Miami, Florida. Knight and Biscuit going to be your top three. Miley King still finishes 5th. And how about Tower finishing 4th? After he didn't think he was going to be racing tonight. Going to end up with the top 5. Top 4 for that matter. Miley giving his speed lane guy a bump there. Matt, where are you guys at? Don't know if I'll race unless it's somewhere particularly special. But, gotta at least find out. Steve Grant brings her around to the front straightaway. And is gonna burn that fella down. Team Speedland and King Consistency, as we call him over at Hobo, brings her home here at Homestead and gets the championship. Pretty much had it locked up. All he had to do was take the green. And that's how you end your season right there. Season of domination. And the dominating race. It's rewarded with the checkered flag. Get the flag there and get that thing to victory lane. Awesome stuff. Chicago. Ooh. I don't know about that. Yeah, hopefully those guys will be able to get over there, but in order to do that, we definitely got some interviews to do here. But as we let everyone kind of settle down up there, go ahead and get the results here for everybody. Steve Grant with the win. Knight and Biscuit second and third. Abbott and King fourth and fifth. The only guys on the lead lap there were the top five. Jason Dolfer will emerge sixth. And then Rick, Chris, Biz Connor, Greg Stenzo, the top 10. Final results will be Bandage, 2 laps down, Ken Hansen, 5 down. Then the engine failure for Tex. And then from there, it'll go the 43, Donald Ritchie, and the 16 of Dan Francesconi, the full top 15 finishers. A great race indeed, and some awesome racecraft there, in about as tricky and treacherous of conditions as you can get. And these guys did a phenomenal job of it, despite a few moments. Only 2 cautions in that entire stretch. Very, very impressive. I was hoping to get the fastest lap there, but they already closed the server, but that's okay. That is just fine. I'm going to see if we can try to get these top 3 here. Looks like Biscuit has already bailed. So, we're going straight to our second place finisher. Hopefully they're not in the middle of anything, because I'm going to move him straight down here.
User was moved to your channel.
There he is then. Since looks like our third place finisher left already, we'll get Cesar and Knight in here. Knight, you copy?
Yes, sir.
Right on. Second place after starting about midfield. That first caution seemed like it put me in a great spot to try and close in for that race win. I will just ask you, do you feel like if that caution didn't come out, do you feel like you would have had a chance? It looked like you were starting to really reel them in fast.
That's questionable with that few laps left, but yeah, the caution was very timely for me because I crashed in qualifying, so that's what made me start so deep in the field. So I just kind of took care of the car and was hoping for that caution and kind of saved a little fuel where I could run an extra lap or two, and it worked out for me.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that with the fuel situation, and when that first caution came out during kind of the middle of the pit stop cycle there, it looked like you were going to be going for that one stopper. Was that going to be able to pan out for you if it had stayed green the whole way?
Yeah, I believe so. I was about to go in the next lap. I believe I could have made it. It'd have been really tight though.
I gotcha. But hey, we might never know for sure, but still, a second place run there. That's pretty cool stuff. Like you said, after crashing and qualifying, I'll just ask you this one last question, then we'll get to your closing thoughts. But going from the clear conditions that you had in practice to the cloudy conditions, especially with the open setup, just how much of a challenge that is trying to make that transition or trying to make the setup changes that you need kind of in a lickety split manner like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of used to that, so we kind of know what to do with our setups. So it just got to do a little gear change and tighten the car up a little bit because it tends to be looser in that cloudy condition, and it really really was a tire management and kind of just the track is tough. There's no doubt about that. So taking care of your stuff means a lot towards the end of a run.
Any flat track like that, it's going to prove to be a challenge. So, awesome job for managing to do that and keeping that thing pointing in the right direction pretty much the whole time. We looked pretty smooth. So, pretty impressive stuff out of you there. That was cool. I'll go ahead and let you get your closing thoughts and shout outs in here and let you go celebrate a good run then after that.
All right, Andrew. We appreciate you doing this for us, and it's always fun. And I'm glad we could put on a decent race for the broadcast and not look like a bunch of idiots out there. So we appreciate it, man. Thank you, and hope to see you again sometime.
Pleasure's all mine. I'm sure I'll be back here soon enough. Hopefully, I keep saying I gotta join you guys on track at some point. I'll find a way eventually. I promise. But great run tonight. Awesome job. And hopefully we'll be able to catch you on another good run here soon enough.
All right, buddy. And thank you very much. And hopefully we see you on the track soon. Have a good night.
Yes, soon enough, man. Have a good one.
User was moved out of your channel.
Runner up, CCR Knights. Without much further ado, because I know Bomb Squad's waiting for us. Let's get Steve Grant down here.
User was moved to your channel.
And there's the man, the myth, legend, race winner, season champion. It's Steve Grant. Can you hear me?
I don't know about legend. Yeah.
Well, I'd say so. Awesome win. You had that thing pretty much on lock throughout the night. Looked like it could have been a little interesting if that had stayed green there at the very end. But all in all, though, it seemed like that thing was pretty well hooked up. You were ripping kind of that higher lane, getting those runs. Pretty impressive stuff, honestly, I would say. Kind of describe what it was like driving the track like that. And was that intentional, kind of ripping that outside there?
Yeah, I try to save the right front. This is one of those tracks you want to really save your tires more than worry about how fast you're going.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I know I could not have managed it very well. These flat tracks and myself do not get along very well, but it got along for you very well. Car seemed to be handling beautifully for you. Would you concur with that, or was it maybe a little deceiving?
Uh,
Oh, you went kind of quiet there.
is my mic screwed up there?
It did briefly, but I think you're good now.
But I was just saying that you just had to really wait the throttle coming off the turns. It was throttle loose.
I gotcha. Yeah, you were managing it beautifully. Final question that I'll get for you, and then let you have your closing thoughts as always. But at the end there, was fuel good to go, or was it? If it had stayed green, would that have been a little sketchy? I wasn't quite sure based on kind of how the pit cycle fell during the first yellow.
No, I was through to the good. I was worried about the first cycle. I was trying to push it as much as I could, just so I could make it, and if I had to get it and use some of the gas, at least I would have it there. But yeah, I just kind of tried to run boring and smooth. I know you don't like the way Herman runs, but that's the best way to run, is just to run very cautiously and just try to be as smooth as possible.
Hey, I'm all for the boring and smooth, especially when I'm out there. So hey, you're doing your thing to win the race, and hey, it got you a championship, and it got you a lot of race wins this season, from what I saw. So there is nothing wrong with that. Very, very nicely done. Great dominating performance. And I'm sure a bit of a sigh of relief once the lights came back on there with 2 to go.
Yeah, I was I don't know if you saw me, I was testing first gear to see if I could get enough of a jump without spinning it. And I was like, I don't know. So yeah, that might have turned out badly for me if it had gone green. I was kind of worried about that. Then when somebody said they blew up, I was like, oh, is the yellow going to come out? Is it going to come out? And I was like, whoo, there we go.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, I totally missed that. That's great. That's nuts.
Yeah,
Hey.
I think somebody else must be testing out for.
Oh, as my microphone's still a little sketchy, but hey, it's all good. Great win, awesome championship. As always, though, before we let you go, closing thoughts, shout outs, anything you want, my man, have at it. Once the mic comes back. Still nothing. Uh-oh.
hearing anything?
Oh, now I do. Go ahead.
Quick disconnect. Just
Yeah, it's still pretty bad.
stuff.
Sorry. It's just like constant static at this point. Yeah, I'll tell everyone something. If for the race winnings, we'll get this guy a new microphone. Yeah, I've got nothing at this point. Sorry, man. Wait, this is the first. Well, I don't want to hold you up too long because I know them guys at BSR are maybe hoping to get you over there. Yeah, sorry it kind of ended that way, but still, awesome win. Great job. We'll hopefully get to talk to you over at Hobo then. Yeah, I still can't hear you, but awesome win.
Sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I did hear that. And there it goes again.
User was moved out of your
Oh,
channel.
that sucks. I can't give your race ending thoughts there because your microphone decided to basically do what Texas Engine did. And kind of self-detonate. But still though, Steve Grant, awesome dude at Team Speedland, speedland.com, and the stuff that they do for this game is pretty sweet. And we always got to shout out those guys, and the amount of support that they've given me and the channel has been absolutely awesome. And of course, them giving me the honor of being able to broadcast Carolina Classic Racing races here. Hopefully, we get to do it again soon. Kind of from what me and Steve had mentioned earlier on, that we should be able to do it again, probably for one of these other season finales, whichever series that might be. Probably this one, but we'll see what that is. We'll see when that'll be, and hopefully, we'll be able to pull that off. So stay tuned for that. Once again, Sunday night, 9 o'clock ish Eastern Time. Chicago Street Course for Fast will be up and running. And then Hobo from Chicagoland on Tuesday night. Definitely don't want to miss that one. Until then, though, congrats to Steve Grant on the championship and the race victory. Again, sorry that the interview got kind of cut short there, but hey, he can celebrate, and ain't nothing going to take that away from him. Thank you to those that came by to watch, and thank you to anyone, really, who just continues to support what I do here. Again, I'm just running the shadows of guys like FRN and JTN, and Tarnation, for that matter. They're the big dogs. I'm just here having fun. I love you all. Stay safe, stay cool, and a happy 4th. Enjoy your weekends, everybody. Take care, and bye for now.